This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back. And then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sack Kids Radio. We did pick the absolute worst week to take a vacation immediately following the election, but we did it anyhow because, well, frankly, we have balls like that. Join us next Friday night for our live show resuming from our new studio.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Crazy rant portion of the show. Today we're going to discuss Tommy Jordan, the North Carolina father who shot his daughter's laptop, how many times?
9
times to prove a point. This was after she went on Facebook on a tirade where she pretty much insulted her parents, friends, family, herself.
Good for her. Kids should be able to speak their minds because they have the constitutional right to freedom of expression also, and as many people on the progressive movement have pointed out, kids are a lot smarter than their parents these days.
No, I completely agree.
Well, then why are you going on a batshit crazy rant?
Well, what I'm saying is once she turns 18 or gets emancipated and becomes her own person.
Big word.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Then she can actually go ahead and do all that. But until then, she still lives under her parents' roof. Her parents pay for everything. She doesn't have a job. Her dad spent 6 hours. He's an IT guy. Did 6 hours on the laptop. $130 in software.
Listen, you need to stop making sense.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What kind of show is this?
Apparently it's one that's hopefully going to make sense. So, and then there's all this uproar where everybody's defending this girl and calling him some sort of monster to the point that CPS, or Child Protective Services, was called out to the house, as well as the local sheriff's department. Both of them found that no crime was committed.
What are you talking about no crime was committed? He used 9 rounds of .45 caliber ammunition. Very easily could have been accomplished with 1 round of double-aught buck.
True.
Clearly this man is wasteful. Okay? Yeah. The environmentalists are not going to like it because this man is wasting resources.
I completely agree with you. He wasted it. Even a .38 would have been effective. Very cheap round. 1 shot would have went right through the hard drive. He could have done it. But he chose to go over the top. Did I?
Yeah.
I should have said
awesome.
top drive. Anyhow, he chose to go over the top and did 9 rounds with the .45. I think the guy's great. I think he's actually a parent who cares about his kid, and he doesn't want to raise a little dirtbag kid that's going to be foul-mouthed and not have any respect for herself, her parents, or anything else around it. All these people that are attacking him, and I just don't understand that. He didn't do anything wrong.
I'm going to defend those people that are attacking him.
Go for it.
I can't. They suck.
But it's his laptop. He paid for it. He did all the work for it. She's his child. I mean, he controls all of her property, all of her things. He bought it all, right?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have the receipts. Why are you asking? I don't know his life. Are you kidding me right now? Probably, though, since she doesn't have a job.
Yeah, she doesn't have a job and obviously refuses to get one. So I just think that this is one parent who proved a point that hopefully will stick with his daughter and maybe she'll start to smarten up. I don't see why anybody in their right mind thinks it was over the top. It's not like he had her there.
Okay, you just said it all right there. In their right mind.
I know. And I completely agree. If he brought her out there and had her... Because I'm proving a point.
Okay, I apologize.
Do you have to pee yet?
No.
Okay,
yet.
good.
I will in a minute. Hang on.
If he had her out there
and
had her hold the laptop or, create an unsafe situation when it happened, that would be different. He was in a field. It's his property. I don't know what the local ordinances are or anything like that.
Who cares?
Right.
Who
But
cares?
he apparently did not put anyone else in harm's way. He did nothing but blow up property or shoot property that he owns, which...
With a legal firearm.
With a legal firearm. I don't see... My only thing is that he used a .45, and I think that was total overkill.
Listen, I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree with the overkill. I understand what you're saying. However, I would have used a shotgun, or perhaps, might as well get some practice in, right? I would have put it out maybe 200 yards, set the camera up through a scope, sight it in, account for wind, and just let it rip with a nice .308 round or 300 Win Mag. But I would, or 50 cal is probably legal there.
Yeah, it's North Carolina. I think you can have a tank.
Or I'd call in an airstrike, which would be awesome. Listen, the only thing I would have done different, and I think would have made it better, for me personally, I would have made my daughter shoot it herself.
But do you really want to put the gun in her hand at that point?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that, she would pull the trigger. Here's the thing. I guarantee if he's got firearms around, he's probably taught his kid to use them.
I would hope so.
Basically, basic gun safety, keeps them locked up. But I think the better punishment, my opinion, would have been if he had her shoot the laptop herself. And then pay for the rounds that she expended and the laptop.
Oh, no, I totally agree with the paying of the rounds. There could have been a couple more creative ways to do it.
Okay, let's hear. What?
Let's see, Molotov cocktail.
Yeah, but now you're talking about explosives, potentially.
True, but it's North Carolina. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you can own anything in North Carolina. I don't think they have any laws at all.
Okay, Molotov cocktail. What else? What else you got?
Let's see. Me personally, old microwave, stick in an old microwave, turn it on high, and video it exploding.
Okay.
I think that would have been no firearms involved, and you lose the fun of the firearms. But I think that would have created a fireworks show.
Value.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't think seeing the microwave explode and the hard drive come apart? No.
I have no idea if that would work.
What about you?
What
would you do?
Tech savvy. I told you I would make her shoot it. I don't have any new ideas. I'm not creative. I have no new ideas. Why do you keep coming back to me? Listen, don't put me down.
The .45. Would you have used the .45?
I would have used a shotgun.
I would have used a shotgun.
And I want to change my opinion on the double-aught buck. I probably would have used a 1-ounce rifled slug.
Yeah? It's more expensive, though.
Yeah, the guy wasted $9. He said
was it really
$1 a round.
Or do you think his...
No, it was a waste.
No.
Listen, environmentalists are going to be up in arms over this.
You
have
$9
lead content going up into the atmosphere.
I'm
pretty sure it's going to kill something. Really?
You're not 100%.
Okay. That's true. I didn't sample the rounds.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer. Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
So now you're just really talking out of your ear and you're not making any sense. So can we stick to the facts?
Why do you have to be so hurtful?
Because it's my nature.
You have no nature.
But no, I do. I just took one out in nature not too long ago. But I think $9 to prove a point to your daughter that hopefully she'll carry through and actually maybe turn herself around a little bit is fine. I think all these people that are attacking him as this evil monster, I don't think it's crazy to me.
I have some advice for the girl.
Go for it.
Go to the public library, access the internet for free, and update your Facebook.
That's a good one. I bet she hasn't thought about that.
Probably not.
However,
well, if she's okay, she probably hasn't, because she's probably, I don't know the girl. I don't know her, but how bright can you be, really, if you have an IT technician for a father, you ask him to work on your laptop, and you post stuff online?
Amazing.
So she probably hasn't thought about that.
Well, unless she thinks she's smarter than everybody else, which is apparently the issue.
And what would be awesome, here's the reason I want her to do it again, because I want to see this guy make another video. Okay? Because if she goes down to the library and makes another post, you know he's going to find it.
Oh, God, yeah.
By the way, to the father, there's a bunch of new social networking sites.
Oh, yeah, we should.
So go ahead and just
he's
check
an IT,
all
I
of
bet
those.
you.
I know.
He should actually post it on his YouTube.
I'm not trying to. I apologize. I wasn't talking down to you. Please don't shoot me.
Please don't shoot my laptop.
Yeah. Don't shoot my lap either.
Or top.
Or my
hat.
What?
So that's our opinion. We think he did right. We think people should leave him alone. He's actually being a parent, and he's parenting his child, which is just amazing to see nowadays. Let us know what your opinion is. You can check us out.
Don't, because I don't care what your opinion is. Just like I don't care if you think my opinion. What? Do you care?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
You
had your fingers crossed, and they just can't see it.
I just want to know what people think. I like to be able to check that out and know what goes through people's heads. That's kind of. I think it's interesting to know why people are crazy. I mean, have their own opinion.
Do you know how to read on the? It's people's opinion are all over the place.
Yeah, that's the problem
on this thing.
I'm kidding, kinda.
Not
bit.
really.
So, let us know what you think. You can follow us on Twitter at Sackhead Radio, and check out our blog at sackheadradio.blogspot.com. And we're also on Facebook. I'm not going to tell you, and we're on iTunes and all that crap. Just do a little research, would you? I can't sit here all day and tell you how to live your life. So I'm Clint.
No, wait, what? I'm Clint.
It doesn't matter. It's Clint and Sean. We're at Sackheads Radio. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
That wasn't much of a rant.
What? No, what do you mean? We ranted.
You didn't rant at all.
Oh,
you actually just talked about a current event.
No.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for making this country and our communities a better and safer place. God bless.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, Politigal Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter at PoliticalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PoliticalNetwork.com or Twitter at PoliticalUSA.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. I know I've said it before. Check out our friends at conservativeoutcry.net, but I really mean it. If you want interesting and exciting political commentary and analysis, that is the place to get it. Different, always spot on, always truthful, never pulling a punch. conservativeoutcry.net. Tell Rooster to get Bulldog back on and that Sackheads Radio sent you. And also, coming soon, the Sack Heads Radio Forum on conservativeoutcry.net.
Hey guys, it's Sean from Sack Kids Radio. I want to talk to you a minute about our friends over at HomefrontHugs.com. They're an amazing organization of volunteers who take their time, effort, and money to take care of our troops overseas as they serve our great nation. HomefrontHugs.com. You can donate, write letters to troops, adopt a troop, you name it, you can do it. Help those wonderful folks who protect our freedoms. Go to HomefrontHugs.com. Tell them Sack Kids Radio sent you.
Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women in uniform of the armed forces. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank our men and women. Hey, this is Sackhead Clint. I want to take this opportunity to thank the men and women of our armed forces, as well as our... God.
You going to mention me this time?
Thank you, Sean. You said mention you, right?
Oh.
So you totally need to keep that as an outtake.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and quality.
Hey, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio coming up on the show today, February 16, 2012. We talk about a potential Clint Eastwood role based on a very historical figure, a true American hero, and we'll talk about all that and whether or not birds migrate for any other reason other than to confuse us. The answer on that may surprise you. Coming up on the big show today.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Hey, it's Sean.
Hey, it's Clint.
How you doing? Hey, welcome to Sackheads Radio. Apparently, Clint had an idea, and we thought we'd discuss it. So,
Well, okay, this idea is brand new.
okay,
Like literally an hour old, maybe.
damn.
And since this is a show where we basically just turn on and record whenever the hell we feel like it,
How do you remember an hour ago?
I have a lot of coffee.
I'm impressed. Moving
Thank
on.
you. Anyways, I got an idea for a new Clint Eastwood movie.
I am listening because that sounds like an awesome idea.
Well, yeah, I love
It's Clint Eastwood.
I am named after him.
It's not a big deal.
It actually really is a big deal.
Kind of is.
I mean,
Anyhow.
practically,
You're
I'm
practically an
already-
Eastwood yourself.
Yeah, almost. Almost in first name only.
Right, because that's how it works.
Exactly.
I'm a Connery.
That's awesome. Hey, it's the welcome to the Connery and Eastwood show. So listen.
The movie. Tell
Yeah.
me about it. I'm interested.
Okay, it was actually about America's original badass. Basically, I'm going to tell you about a guy.
Okay.
His name was Samuel Whittemore,
Okay.
and from Revolutionary Times. And this guy, I think when God basically designed and made Chuck Norris, he had this guy in mind.
That's deep.
Well, I think if you combine like Samuel Whittemore and Clint Eastwood, you'll get Chuck Norris.
Okay.
This guy was kind of a big deal.
So he was like the original Terminator.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way.
Yeah, I would say
He'd
maybe,
still be kick-ass today, but he was that much of a badass originally too.
right, or
Okay.
Predator, either way.
However you want to look at it.
Yeah, Daisy Duke. I'm just kidding. I have no idea how he looked in shorts.
I do.
And
Pretty damn good.
nice.
So tell me about this Samuel Whittemore guy.
Okay, so
'Cause I think I've heard of him.
well, I'm sure you have, considering where you're from.
It's yeah.
He actually, funny thing, he actually came from the same state that gave us Mitt Romney.
Wow.
Which is really sad because you have on one hand.
Why are you going to go into politics about this?
Hang on a second. This Samuel Whittemore came from Massachusetts, correct?
Yes.
And where was Mitt Romney governor of?
Massachusetts.
Thank you. So we go from having an incredibly badass guy given to us by this state to having a complete.
You're
What?
losing it. Though.
Okay.
You're telling me about a Clint Eastwood movie,
Right.
and then we're going into politics.
Yeah, all I said
No.
is from the same state.
Let's get back to
That
where there's a lot of other people from Massachusetts you could have brought up.
Name one.
New Kids on the Block. We're talking about badasses. That's the first one that comes to mind.
Hey, you dressed like them still, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I peg my jeans.
So Mr. Whittemore was born in 1694. He actually lived a long time, especially back then, because he died in 1793. And he was
1793.
Yes.
That's like today. That'd be like living to 200.
Practically.
Okay.
Yeah. It was almost like he was a cockroach. But the guy was a complete stud. He was born in England originally and came to North America, came to the colonies in 1745, and served in the Army. He was an officer.
For the Brits.
For the Brits.
Originally.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what we were in 1745.
Right. No, I agree. Go ahead.
You agree that that's what we were in 1745?
I do. It has my stamp of approval, so now you can write all the books. All the history books can finally be written about it.
Sean fact-checked it. We were, in fact, part of England in 1745. So this guy fights in King George's War, and he fights in the French Indian War. He's captured both of those during both of those wars, and at the time of the start of the American Revolution, he's 80 years old, and
80 years young.
80. Well, yes, 80 years young, and he is the oldest combatant in the Revolution on record. I don't know, maybe some 90-year-old guy picked up a rifle.
Records weren't 100% back then when it comes to stuff like that, but anyhow.
Yeah, I didn't think they had CDs, let alone records.
No, I think they were still on vinyl. Oh no, it was 8-track. It was 8-track.
Reel to reel, like this show.
Pretty much how it's being recorded, folks.
So he's out working in his fields, and he sees the British Army marching from Lexington and Concord.
From the battles.
From the battles.
The original battle,
Correct.
Lexington and Concord.
Lexington and Concord.
Okay.
And he's out in his field, and for some reason he has a bunch of weapons with him, which is awesome.
That's how I garden.
Well, yeah, but you have pants. No, you don't have pants.
No pants when I'm gardening. You have to be one with the vegetables. Go on.
Whole different meaning.
Yeah.
So Mr. Whittemore, jumps behind a stone wall. I don't know if he actually jumped, but he ends up positioning himself behind a stone wall, and with his rifle or musket, I'm not sure if it was rifled or not, he takes a shot and actually hits one of the British troops.
Okay.
Kills one. Now, this is the part I love, because not only does he have his rifle with him, but he then draws his dueling pistols. Okay? So the guy has dueling pistols because, I don't know, somebody might piss him off while he's gardening, and so I challenge you to a duel. I mean, how badass is that?
Hey, maybe you always have to be prepared. You got to be prepared for everything when you're gardening, especially.
Exactly.
So you need a rifle
and your dueling pistol.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Just in case somebody makes you angry.
Well, yeah.
So he fires 3 more shots.
I'll teach that damn plant not to grow.
Yeah. He ends up mortally wounding another British soldier. The first guy he shot was a grenadier. Took him out. The British detachment starts advancing on him, and by the time they reach him, now keep in mind this guy's already used a musket or a rifle and dueling pistols.
Well, yeah.
And I say musket and rifle because I don't know which one he had.
Right. It could have been either. I'm pretty sure. I would bet it's a musket, but that's
probably, but who knows? I think I don't know. I think they had rifle barrels at some point, but they weren't very common back then. So Whittemore then takes out his sword.
Well, why would you not?
Well, yes. Why would you not have your musket, your dueling pistols, and your sword?
This guy is a champ. That's
Thank
tits.
you. Exactly.
That is so tits. I absolutely love this guy.
And he then proceeds to attack them with a sword at 80 years old.
Jesus.
This guy gets shot in the face.
That sounds like me. I didn't want to get out of bed last week because my back hurt.
At 30-something years old.
At 30-something years old. Yeah, I'm not even 80.
I took ibuprofen because I woke up with a crick in my neck. This guy gets shot in the face. Yeah, that's not funny. He gets bayoneted 13 times.
Holy Jesus.
And gets left for dead. Left to die, right?
Well, at 80 years old, so he's shot in the face and then bayoneted 13 times. So
correct.
I'm assuming he expires. Because the story is already pretty amazing.
Yeah, he actually expired 18 years later.
At the ripe young age in 98?
Correct. He actually gets taken to a doctor, and I don't remember the doctor's name. You might remember the doctor's name.
I think it's Tufts.
Okay. well, apparently this other guy was pretty tough. And sorry, bad joke. I haven't had enough coffee yet. And so the doctor's like, oh yeah, he's done. He's dead. He's not going to make it. Well, apparently the doctor was wrong because this guy made it, and at 80 years old, kicked the crap out of the British Army. It was awesome.
98 years old, he finally dies.
Yeah. Now tell me that would not be an awesome Clint Eastwood movie.
That would be the best Clint Eastwood. That would be a great Clint Eastwood. I don't want to say the best because there's a lot for it to go up against.
Josie Wales.
Yeah, there's a bunch. We could sit here all day.
And not to be disrespectful because I love Mr. Eastwood.
Yep.
But he could actually probably play this guy because Clint Eastwood is still enough of a badass to probably pull this.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt in my mind that he would absolutely nail that part. That guy is Samuel Whittemore. Look him up. That guy is tits.
Look him up. Research it. We highly encourage it. Thank you for listening to our banter. Hope maybe you picked up a little bit of something. If you did, share it with a friend. If not, we really don't.
Yeah,
care.
seriously.
This is seriously for our entertainment.
Keep it to
It's
yourself.
awesome.
However, if you did pick something up and you want to share it, you can also check us out, sackheadsradio@blogspot.com. We're on Twitter @sackheadsradio.
Good coffee.
We have some sort of Facebook thing that I really don't even know the link to yet. And I don't. It's awful,
This
but I
whole thing
don't.
is brand new. Hey,
And we're on iTunes.
by the
believe
way,
it or not.
we
We're on
went
iTunes.
international.
I know.
Within 24 hours because of
I
us
didn't want to
posting
brag.
Our first, it was kind of a big deal.
Our first show was up yesterday. I don't want to brag.
Yesterday? No, it wasn't. It was up a while ago.
Right. No, that's a good point. I'm thinking, you know what?
But it's okay.
I've been drunk in most of the morning.
So
So we did go international.
it's kind of a big deal.
People in Germany have downloaded us.
And England.
So look out, Hoff and Ricky Gervais, because we're coming for your ass.
That's right. Hey, and for those of you in English, sorry I talked about an American hero who kicked your ass a long time ago.
Yeah, you know what?
But,
Most of them are kind of cool with that, because I'm sure he was originally British, so I'm sure they'll own it.
I hope so.
Me too. Thanks for listening,
Thanks for
guys.
listening,
We'll
guys.
talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Hi, this is Sarah Marie Brenner. You know, we often talk on the Brenner Brief about the fact that there really needs to be an organization to help people at the local level who are interested in running for things like school boards, city council, and other local offices. Well, I think I finally have the solution for you, at least for you women out there. It's called Politigal Network, POLITIGAL Network.com. Their website's going to be launching mid-August, but they're already on Twitter @PolitigalUSA. I encourage you to follow them and become a member. Their goal is to be the #1 resource for conservative women. So if you love freedom, liberty, the United States of America, and politics, check out PolitigalNetwork.com or Twitter @PolitigalUSA.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
So anyways, then I was like, wow, really? It shot that far? I had to get a rag, clean it off the wall, and what are you doing?
We're recording now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm talking about my 2-year-old that had projectile vomiting. It hit the wall. I had to clean it up, and you hit the record button.
Well,
At what point did you hit the record button? Because that could have sounded really horrible.
I promise it won't sound bad. It sounded fine. I'll edit out anything that might be bad.
Why do you have your fingers crossed?
I don't know. I was just itchy. Go on.
Wow. You totally did me dirty.
So,
So anyways, hey, I was doing some research online.
yeah. Good kind?
Wait, well, define.
Private browsing?
What's that?
I don't know. Go on.
No, so I was deleting my history.
Right, naturally.
No, I don't have to because I have in private browsing.
Perfect.
But, you know, I'm a history buff.
Huge.
And specifically American history, around the time of the founding of our nation. And I'm a huge proponent of going to original source documents.
Right, and finding out what they actually said versus getting somebody's opinion on what they said.
Exactly. Even when you and I have had conversations, the billions we've had, and I tell my family, friends, hey, go to original source documents if you want to know, hey, what did they say? What did the founders say? What was this law specifically? Read it for yourself.
Form your opinion as to what the original document said. Don't take somebody else's for granted.
Absolutely. Don't basically fall into either political camp. Don't be a shill for the Democrats or a shill for the Republican, or
read it, learn it,
learn it,
your opinion, and make your decisions based off that.
Absolutely.
Good.
So I was doing some research on some documents in the past, just looking around because for me that's fun. My poor wife. And
take the lampshade off your head. Go on.
No, I'm going to leave it on.
All right.
Actually, it doesn't fit over this paper bag. Have you ever heard of something called the Organic Laws of the United States of America?
The Organic Laws of the United States of America? Why, no. Tell me.
Why, yes. The Organic Laws of the United States of America were passed by they were passed by 43rd Congress, which sat from 1873 to 1875.
Okay.
Because that's all Congress is good for. It's sitting. But
they
they actually
raising their hand at that time.
Right, because they totally tell the truth and uphold the Constitution like they promised to.
Right.
But they passed something in the revised statutes of the United States, specifically Volume 18. Okay, so we're talking United States law.
Right.
They had a section, the Organic Laws of the United States of America. And I found this thanks to a site called adask, adask.wordpress.com.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for going through this site and following their steps, which is ridiculous, as far as what the work you have to do to find this.
So it's a government document on a government website, but yet there's no direct link. You actually have to go in and kind of dig to find it.
Yes, you absolutely have to dig to find it. You won't do a search engine and be able to come up with it unless you're a lot more computer savvy than me, which is very likely, but I had to go in through this site. It was fantastic for this one topic because it was able to follow the instructions and actually get to where I needed to be. But do you know what the 4 organic laws are?
I might, but why don't you enlighten me?
Well, how can I enlighten you if you already know?
Well, because I'm a moron and I don't. So
actually,
go on.
Because we talked about this stuff sometimes.
In pre-production.
Production? What are you talking about? This is just for us to play back and listen to our own.
Producing coffee earlier.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. The Declaration of Independence.
Fantastic.
The Articles of Confederation.
Always a classic read.
The Constitution of the United States of America.
One of my favorites.
And the Northwest Ordinance.
The Northwest Ordinance, which allowed airplanes.
No, that was completely different.
That was Northwest Airlines.
Yeah,
so that was go on.
Yeah, no, this is the ordinance.
Okay.
And I encourage everybody to go and actually read these things. And something interesting here, the Organic Laws, just that title, would seem like Congress thought maybe they were important.
Right.
Like maybe they were the foundation of what our laws should be based upon.
Okay.
And so therefore, all 4 should be relevant. Correct?
I would say so. I
Okay.
mean, if they're given a name like organic, that's a heavy-hitting name. So
unless you're talking about fruit or vegetables or
right, which I don't think they have. I mean, they do have laws about that, but when we attack Department of Ag, we'll worry about that.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
Let's stick with this one.
Okay. So, and the amount of digging you had to get to find these on this government website, they have a search a way to search things all different ways, and each page in Volume 18 had a page number, including the table of content and so forth. However, when you come to the Organic Laws of the United States, and this adask.wordpress.com points it out first, and I actually had to go in and look for it myself, there are no page numbers that come up.
At all.
At all. You can't really, even though it's part of the record, you can't really search it. And as they point out also, there are other versions of this that you can find that don't have the Organic Laws in there at all.
Interesting.
It's actually very interesting.
Weird, but interesting.
It is. Don't let the black helicopters get you. It's almost like people want to make it difficult to find for some reason. Because why would you want people knowing the founding principles of our country?
That
Because
would
then
be bizarre.
It would, especially if you want to change the country into a socialist, communist utopia. Black helicopters. Anyways, a couple things in the Northwest Ordinance, which was passed in 1787. Based on a model which was actually written by Thomas Jefferson. And it governs the territories, the territory of the United States northwest of the Ohio River.
Okay.
And, you hear people talking about, separation of church and state. You can't ever teach any kind of religion in schools or even reference God or
which is not what...
Right, yeah. The founders were all atheists and deists, and they were all racist, and everything else. Where a couple things in here, because actually in schools where I went to college, and you did too, and you're taught in some of those places that the founders were racist, they were all rich white guys, and they believed in separation of church and state as opposed to no, if you actually read this stuff, they wanted no Church of the United States,
right? No
federal church,
right?
They came from the Church of England where they had to worship in one way. But I want to read you something from the Northwest Ordinance, and again, I highly encourage everybody to do their own research on this and form your own opinions. My opinion, you may not agree with it, in which case you would be wrong.
Naturally, I mean, if it's not your opinion, it's usually wrong. So
yeah, which is weird. My wife loves it when I say that, and
very weird.
I'm actually wrong a lot of times with her. But Article 3 of the Northwest Ordinance, and I'm going to quote: "Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged."
Interesting.
Now, I know what I think it's saying, and it's pretty clear what it's saying, that we need religion, morality, and knowledge in order to be a happy people and as well as to encourage a good government.
Basically, now, they didn't say what religion.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and you and I have differences
totally
on religion.
Totally.
And neither one of us are really. Yeah. So. But we have differences in that area, and that's something we may get into at a later time. But we're able to discuss it.
Right. Like grown-up adult people.
Which is weird.
I know, considering
we say poopy a lot and have that kind of humor.
Conversations.
I said poopy. That's awesome. But it's interesting because here you're talking about education and encouraging that education, but there's a preamble of religion, morality, and knowledge.
Yeah.
So clearly there's not a separation of church and state, but almost like they go hand in hand, especially when you consider that our rights, as declared in the Declaration of Independence and so forth, and in the founders' writings, our rights come from God, or nature's God, and cannot be taken away. Rights don't get granted from government.
Right.
Because if a government grants something, they can
take it away at any time.
Absolutely.
Now, again, and I like to specify this because I think this gets lost a lot, it's not really saying what specific God or religion or your view of it, just something bigger than you that gives you the right to live and your freedoms. Agree?
I would agree. I mean, we maybe have a different interpretation of that.
Right.
But yeah, basically, it's for nobody in the government to say you have to worship this God this way.
Right.
You don't have to be a member of the Church of the United States of America. And really, the Constitution, when you talk about the First Amendment, refers to the federal government. It
right.
doesn't refer to state governments.
Well, that's going to be a state rights argument. We can have that on a different podcast because I think we can get into the whole state right versus federal government with
absolutely,
federal totally
and that some
state
states
rights.
actually had state religions that they had an official religion. But that's you're right. Whole different way off topic. But I want to get back to Article 6 of the Northwest Ordinance because we addressed the religion issue, and that's what the law says. That's not something you agree with or disagree with. That's what the law says. It's in the Northwest Ordinance. It was enacted by Congress, and it is one of our organic laws. So one of the foundational pieces of where we are today. Whether you agree with whether you're religious or not religious, that's I don't care. It's
in there.
It's in there. Article 6, there shall be neither slavery nor involuntary servitude in the said territory, otherwise than in the punishment of crimes whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. And then there's a little bit more to it than there, just like in Article 3, where Article 3 talks about the Indians and so forth, and good faith. The utmost good faith shall always be observed towards the Indians. Their lands and properties shall never be taken from them without their consent.
Now, are
blah,
you
blah,
saying
blah.
our founders were overly respectful of human rights?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how it sounds.
But
they're not often portrayed that way. That's That's why I'm just making sure that that's what's in there.
That's exactly what's in there. And no, they're not portrayed that way at all. And you know, like I said, I was perhaps guilty a little bit of this as well until I actually started reading some of the writings of Jefferson and Washington myself. And you come to realize, oh, this is what they meant, or this is not what they meant. This was taken out of context by whatever group. But we bring this up today, and I kind of wanted to discuss this with you, something just kind of looked into, because I want to get this out there so that anybody who is insane enough to listen to us can perhaps do their own research, form their own opinions about things,
rightfully so,
and just be aware that this is out there, because I had no idea that this even existed.
Well, and again, too, we live in this great country that you can form your own opinion, you can do your own research, and you should take advantage of that.
Net neutrality.
What? You should take advantage of it while you can, and before it goes away.
What do you mean while you can? Are you?
What?
Listen,
No.
Conspiracy theory.
Don't let.
I just had a beautiful idea.
Oh God. What?
We need to have the Sackheads reading list.
We can start that in the blog on sackheadradio.blogspot.com. I'll when you're clearing your browser history.
Okay.
Research blog next time.
You need to show me how to do that.
Yeah,
again.
I will. But you have to wipe off your keyboard. So.
You need to edit that out. That is so inappropriate. We just discussed religion.
You just said your son threw up everywhere.
Oh, wow, this is awkward.
So. That's it. We'll put the reading list up on the blog.
Eventually. It's going to take a little while to compile, perhaps, recommended reading, if you care.
You can follow us on Twitter at Sackhead Radio, and the blog will be updated as soon as possible. Thank you for letting me know about the 4 organic documents.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening if you decided to listen. If not, again, this is more for our own amusement.
Than anybody
else's.
For Clint, this is Sean, Sackhead Radio. Telling you to have a good day. Do your research. Damn it.
Are you still here? Sean? I need to correct something. If you're still here. If you are, it's kind of ridiculous. But I don't know how to turn this thing off. Sean!
What?
Hey, I need to correct something. I don't know how to turn this thing on or off. But I need to talk about, I think in the segment earlier I said that it was the Northwest Ordinance was based upon the writings of Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
That's inaccurate. I need to correct that. It was actually
you were wrong.
Well, no, I was mistaken.
Okay, good.
There's a difference.
Total.
Yeah, Jefferson's report of government for the Western lands in 1784 actually organized the Western lands. But Nathan Dane and Rufus King actually were the primary writers of the Northwest Ordinance. They were both representatives to the Second Continental Congress from Massachusetts. And I want to let our listener, singular, hi Mom, know that I want to correct that so that anytime we give information that may not be totally accurate,
it's fixed.
What do you mean it's fixed? Just hit the record button so I can fix it.
Already done. So that'll.
What do you mean already done? Just hit the record.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey, it's Sean and Clint here from Sackheads Radio. On the phone with us right now, we have Miss Karen Harrington, who is running for Congress in the 23rd District in Florida. How are you, Karen?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Sorry. So let's talk about your background, if that's okay with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you're about.
Well, my family and I, we have been small business owners here in South Florida since 1974. We've just celebrated 38 years in business.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We expanded from 1 restaurant to 3. My younger sister, Michelle, and I, we run the family business. I've been here since I was 5 years old. I'm a mother of 3, grandmother of 2, very committed to the community. I always tell people the thing that separates me most from my other Republican primary is that I have a vested interest in the community. I've coached boys soccer and baseball for many years. We've donated back to the community through the Police Athletic League. We're just very involved with our community, making sure that our kids are raised in a good environment, a good community, and just proud to be a South Floridian.
That's fantastic. One of the questions I wanted to ask you about your business, and based on some comments recently, when the government gave you your restaurant, did you expect it to be around 38 years later?
No, honestly, Sean, if the government gave it to us, we would already be out of business.
And trillions of dollars in debt.
Yeah, exactly. So why did you decide to run for Congress?
Well, I started to recognize what was happening to the country when President Obama became in office, and I started to realize on a business perspective how hard it became for us year in and year out through, the uncertainty of taxes, through regulations, the cost of insurance, whether it's health care or liability or workman's comp. Just everything became more difficult for us to try to maintain our business. And I started to recognize the person that impacted my life the most, besides the president, was my representative, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And then I really started to look more into her background and realized she's never worked in the private sector. She's never had a job outside of government. So how could someone like her really go to Washington and understand what people in business, the job creators, go through to try to stay in business, start a business, expand it? And I realized how out of touch she was. And then over the years, watching her, I realized how far to the left she has moved. And she'll do whatever's necessary to get reelected. She represents her party. She represents her own personal agenda. And she doesn't represent the will of the American people. So there's nothing worse than when you elect an official that doesn't hear who you are, the people, and the voice, and take that to Washington. And I realized that she needed to be replaced. And honestly, I have the experience in the community of being a small business owner, of being American that understands the toughness of what government imposes on us. And I would go there to fight to make sure that America could be successful. And we can do that by moving government out of the way.
Well, and you kind of bring me to my next question is, what do you think the job of a congresswoman or congressman should be?
Well, absolutely. You're supposed to go there and honor the will of the American people, and you're supposed to represent your district and what's best for the people in that district. And anybody with any common sense would see that growing government, adding to our debt, raising taxes, borrowing from China, buying oil from overseas countries that harbor terrorism is not the American way of life. So I think the people of this district want to be heard. And my job is to work for them and go there with the things necessary to make America productive, to make us safe, to make us prosperous, and to keep us free. And she doesn't represent those things. And I want to, as I go door to door and I meet people and talk to them, it's very important that I understand what it is they expect from me. And I want to go there and honor their wishes. And you're not going to always make everybody happy.
No, go
but
ahead.
if you can keep the core principles and values of what our nation is about, why we were founded, then we can continue to lead the proper way. And leadership in Washington on both sides of the aisle are broken. And we've got to instill in the American people that we are going to go there as your new leaders and to do the right thing for the country.
And Karen, I'm glad, this is Clint, I'm glad you brought up principles and values, because it's something on this show that we talk a lot about, the need to elect principled leaders regardless of party affiliation. And one of the things we'd like to delve into a little bit about getting to know you is what personal characteristics or traits do you possess that will allow you to effectively fulfill the role of Congresswoman if elected?
Well, I think the most important thing is you have someone that's been a part of the community a long time. I mean, I'm risking our family name, our reputation, by going to Washington and taking this risk. I mean, I could not possibly come back to this district and live my life and the people that are my customers, the over 100 people that we employ, and go there and do something that I wasn't saying that I stand for. So I think the biggest characteristic is just that. I have built over 40 years of my character in this community. These people know who I am and what our business has done, and I think that speaks volumes, not just because we've been successful in business, but we've been a part of the community. My 4 brothers and sisters still live here. My parents live here, my 3 children, my 2 grandchildren. We're not going anywhere. This is our home. And when you take that and personalize it as not somebody just moving into the district or running for office because they think it's a good thing to do, I care about my community. And that's why I've decided to step up and do something like this. And I think that's a characteristic that people are looking for, someone they can trust, because we absolutely do not trust our politicians.
Absolutely, and you bring up a great point. And another thing that Sean and I talk about this show is the need to understand our roots as a nation. Sean and I are both very proud of America as a country, and so we'd like to know how do you view the Constitution, specifically the relationship between the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution? There's a push in this country, and it seems like the left has divorced the Declaration from the Constitution, and I'm curious as to how you view those two documents, the relationship between them.
Those documents are the absolute heart and soul of our nation. We are such an exceptional nation because of those documents. We are the only country where our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, tell us what the rights are of the people. Every other country in the world, Constitution tells the people what the rights of the government are. We are exceptional and special, and we must adhere to that Constitution. We did not become who we are in 236 years because a government came in and ruled us. We, the people, rule this nation, and we definitely have gotten away from that in these last 4 years. So if we can just adhere to the basic, simple rules of the Constitution and honor those, our nation would be prospering, we'd be more free, we wouldn't be fighting to keep our freedoms, whether it's our gun rights, our religious liberties, and the left wants to take the Constitution and reinterpret it into rules or laws that absolutely don't adhere to those. So if we can get back to those, and I think that leads me to one other point I want to make. I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of this election, not so much to replace Obama, but if he ever has the authority in the next 4 years to appoint 1 or 2 more Supreme Court justices, our Constitution as we know it is done, because we will be ruled by the liberal left.
You're absolutely correct, and I've discussed this point before where it seems as if there's almost no check on the Supreme Court. They all have almost unchecked power because their decision is final, and it takes literally an act of Congress to go back and change the law. But then the Supreme Court can come back and reinterpret it again. So you bring up a great point, and you touched on gun rights, which is a big issue right now in light of everything that's happened in Colorado. The left and the media and so forth has used this almost as a political pawn, I think, as Governor Christie put it, to push an anti-gun agenda. Where do you stand on that?
We absolutely listen. Our founders did not make it number 2 because it wasn't that important. It's right after.
I'm going to use that sometime.
Okay, right after freedom of speech and freedom of religion is our right to protect ourselves. It is a sacred, absolute, important constitutional right that we have as Americans. I'm an NRA member. I have a concealed weapons permit. I own a couple of guns. In fact, ever since that incident out in Colorado, I think I need to buy a couple more. We have to always have that right to defend ourselves. And unfortunately, every state has the right to impose their own laws based on that. So I want to live in Florida. I want to know I can carry a gun. I don't want to live in New York where it's stricter laws, to be able to protect myself. I will fight endlessly to protect the Second Amendment rights. I have an A rating now by the NRA, and it's just that important. Thinking of that, being in that movie theater, and 2 or 3 of those gentlemen having been in the military, just to think that they didn't think it was necessary to bring their gun with them to a movie theater. I mean, you can never think that you were ever safe anywhere. And if anything, that movie theater should have made us more pro-gun, that we need to protect ourselves at all times.
Well, and like everything else, too, is unfortunately people use that as an automatic springboard to support their cause. And I think the biggest thing that's being lost right now is instead of focusing on the victim's family and kind of look into this Holmes character and what driven to do it, blah, 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 everyone wants to make it about the gun. We've said on the show a million times, that's like saying, we should outlaw cars because people die in car accidents. It's not the tool or the implement. And I said last week, the amount of explosives and the sophistication that he had in his home that we're being told about, if guns had never shown up on this earth, if it was never an invention that even happened, he still would have found a way to commit this ridiculously heinous act.
Absolutely.
And another thing we'd like to touch on, we know our time with you is limited, so we appreciate you giving us this opportunity to speak with you. You touched earlier on fiscal responsibility and the budget. The U.S. right now has, a $16 trillion debt and over $1 trillion budget deficit. Obamacare, these other entitlements are basically going to push us over the edge to economic collapse. We can't sustain it. As a member of Congress, if you're elected, you'll have input over the purse strings of this country. How will you act in order to help turn this country around?
Well, I hope in January the first thing I get to do, and I know Congress has done it about 32 times already, is vote to repeal Obamacare, but I believe we will have a president that will finally sign on to that, and we got to get it through the Senate as well. But absolutely, Obamacare is a disaster in so many ways. First, we're lied to. It is a tax, and not only that, there's 21 new taxes in it that will affect all income levels of Americans. So we've got to go in there. We've got to address either a Paul Ryan budget, the Simpson Bowles, perhaps Senator Lee's Saving the American Dream budget, all three of those combined. But the first thing you have to do is something we haven't done for 3 years, and that's pass a budget for the annual year. And if you can't even decide what we can and can't spend in a year, and you're just going to continue to run it up, we haven't stopped the bleeding. So come up with a yearly budget, which right now exceeds over $1 trillion beyond what we take in. So we've got to start right there. And then long-term debt, the driving force behind that is our Medicaid, our Social Security, and our Medicare. So we've got to rein in that kind of spending. And it's a very large task ahead of you. I'm not going to say there's a simple answer, but until you elect fiscal conservatives that understand we cannot continue to give away things to the American people that we don't have and become a nanny state and head down European socialism, we've got to grab a hold of that. And right now we have the Department of Agriculture advertising for food stamps. They're trying to give away more of our hard-earned tax dollars that we put into the government and just continue to give it away so they can get more people on government. So that's why when people say this is the most important election of our lifetime, it is in a fiscal sense, but it's also in a moral sense, because we will lose more people that will depend on government that will never look. A conservative will never be able to win past this election if we don't start to rein it in now. We'll continue to elect liberals like my opponent, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, willing to give away everything to anybody at all costs.
It's almost like Cloward and Piven have a hand in this whole thing. Are there any federal departments that you would defund? For example, the IRS, because that would be awesome. But are there any federal departments that you would either reduce in size or defund in order to help control some of the spending? And an offshoot of that, I know it's a multi-part question, so I apologize in advance, but defense is kind of a sacred cow, particularly on the right. And new technologies and weapon systems have given us the ability to reach out around the globe from home and deliver greater firepower. Is it possible to still meet tactical and strategic goals while cutting defense spending and reducing our forces abroad? So kind of a two-part question. What departments, if any, would you reduce or defund? And also, how do you take the Defense Department into account with that?
Wow, well, there's so much waste in government. I'd have to say the first thing we start with is the EPA and almost scale them back to such a minuscule role in our life, because we do need regulations that help keep our environment safe and protect consumers, but they're way out of control, so we've got to scale back the EPA. And another department I see is the Department of Energy. What energy? So you have to say, you know,
the ones we send overseas and give money to foreign countries, that energy?
Yeah, I mean, the Department of Energy, and every year they ask for more money for Congress, and they always get more money. So we're giving more money to the Department of Energy, which really isn't going out and finding more energy for us.
No,
so,
if anything, they're finding reasons not to use the energy we could have.
Right. So that's another department. And, of course, Department of Education, we're failing our children miserably at the federal level. We've got to give that back to the states and let them know how to manage education for the children in their state. So those are the three key ones. There's a numerous amount of departments, but we can start right away by cutting 10% to all departments. When it comes to the military, I'm sure the military could find waste and cuts as well, but the enormous amount of cuts that this president is implementing is close to $1 trillion in cuts. We will suffer militarily, both here at home and abroad. These cuts are too severe, they're too quick, and you know, we have to think about how to protect ourselves. But our biggest threat to our sovereignty and to our safety in this country is our debt. I believe it's the biggest concern we have to have. But with the military, I think the cuts are too severe, but is there waste in there? Absolutely. So we've got to go in and just do the really tough job of making tough decisions to make these cuts.
Well, and I couldn't agree with you more. There has to be some way to find it. And we know, as well as everyone else, that government waste is out of control and has been for years. And every time it tries to get reined in, people find new reasons not to.
What are you talking about, like the biofuel the military is experimenting with?
Yeah, exactly.
Great, right?
What's it, $59 a gallon for jet fuel? Unbelievable. I could not even kind of run my house that way. So our final question, and I know you've been gracious enough to stay with us. Tell us why the people of the 23rd District, in closing, and we'll give you the final word on this, should vote for you.
Well, thank you guys both so much, Clint and Sean, for having me. The people of the 23rd will be very well represented in Washington because they're going to be sending one of their own. They're going to be sending the girl next door that's lived the life they've lived in a community that she's been dedicated to, both through business and in her personal life, someone who will honor the Constitution, who will serve the will of the American people and recognizes what's happened in Washington and how broken it is, someone who has never aspired to be in politics, but just truly feels that she's being called to serve. And I look at it as more than serving. I look as we are in the fight of our lives. And I'm that girl that's going to fight for the American people and what's right for this country. So they can always count on Karen Harrington to represent their values, their principles, and bring that to Washington.
Karen, thank you very much. And how can the people find out more information about you?
Well, the quickest way is firedebbie.com.
I love that website, by the way.
And that'll get you right to my website. You can see all my issues, find out more about me, and sign up for the newsletter, make a $5 contribution, whatever they can do to help us out.
And you're also all over Twitter. We see that on a regular basis.
Yes, thank you, guys.
No, we really appreciate it. Karen Harrington, ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We'll be back in a second.
Thank you, Karen.